So everybody's heard and seen the story about what's happening in Andrea, Texas, your
Run, baby,
home.
run.
I mean, they had to run for the hills. They said, I'm going everywhere. I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to New York. I'm going to Detroit. I'm going to California. I'm leaving. I'm leaving so that we don't have the quorum, so that they can't just gerrymander. And it's not even they haven't even done what am I saying? I know the word. I forgot it just then. Haven't had the census. They haven't had the census, but yet he wants to change all the lines for voting so that he could keep Trump in office. And that's the last thing we want, is to keep Trump in office.
And I found out a few things when I did a little bit of a further dive into that. The reason why the gerrymandering and the redistricting is so important right now is because they have no, okay, so they talked about them not having a state tax, and that a lot of people are finding out that their rents and things are increasing, and some areas are being gentrified. So they're having to move. Therefore, they have to redistrict to accommodate for all those moves because they got Democrats in certain areas and whatever. But whatever the moves are, of course, is going to, because the Republicans are doing it, the Dems are going to be not on the receiving end of the good stuff, we'll say.
I have a friend that works for the census, and she said this one guy that went out to the black neighborhood, when he would go to their house, he would put nobody answered, so nobody lived there, and so they were doing the census incorrect for black communities.
Instead of coming back or something like
Mhm.
that.
So that they couldn't get the things that they needed in their area.
I have a question.
Right.
My question is, and I think some other people have asked this question. So, with the Dems going where they're at, are they just postponing it when they come back eventually? Will they have to? They have warrants out now, so
That's a great lead in
okay, great.
to this particular interview, and I'm just going to show the first portion of it, but we're going to hear from each one of these Democrats who left, and they explained why. And the interviewer even asked that question. Well, if you go back, isn't just going they're going to get what they want anyway? So this was really good, I thought. So let's watch this.
In Texas anymore, are we? Uh, Bottom line it for us. Why are you here?
You know, special sessions in Texas are meant for emergencies, and we had an emergency in Texas. We had a cabin full of 8-year-old girls get washed away in the middle of the night. We had families calling 911, begging for help, only to be told by operators that no help was coming. Ultimately, 137 Texans lost their lives. That's an emergency worthy of our time, our attention, and our action. Greg Abbott is prioritizing Donald Trump with this special session. Instead of taking action to help the flood victims of Central Texas, he is prioritizing trying to steal 5 congressional seats from the people of Texas. This isn't just a Texas fight. This is an American fight that will impact all of us. So Texas Democrats ran into the fight by coming to Illinois to stand up for the people of our state.
Representative Johnson, he says you're running into the fight. You know that Republicans in the state, Republicans out of the state, look at what you guys are doing and thinking you're running away from the fight. You're running away from your jobs by not being in Austin today.
Yeah, no. Abandoning your job is going to Cancun in the middle of a deadly freeze, right? Abandoning your job is cutting health care when people need access. Abandoning your job is cutting public education when we already have one of the worst education systems in the nation. What we are doing is the fundamental protection by our founding fathers in the Texas Constitution that says the minority party has the opportunity to break quorum when you know that the majority has really gone off the rails. The fact that Texas Republicans are willing to sell their soul, sell out their state, and sell out the American people to serve the interest of Donald Trump and give him 5 seats at a time where we know he is afraid of voters voting on his policies next November in 2026. When Donald Trump called Georgia Republicans and said, I just need you to find me 11,000 votes, they said, no, sir, that's a step too far. But when he called Texas Republicans and said, I need you to steal me 5 seats, they said, does July work for you? Well, it doesn't work for us as Texas Democrats. This is not just about our voters. It's about the nation. And it's important for people to know they have threatened us personally. They have threatened our arrest. They have threatened our jobs. They have threatened us. The solution is if we show up today at 3 o'clock and sit and be quiet, then we get to keep ours. But it kills the voice of everybody in this country. And so we won't sit and shut up to have them shut up the voices of voters.
The y'all have done this before, and ultimately after a few weeks it ends, everyone goes back to Austin, and Republicans ultimately get what they want. How is this time going to be any different?
I actually disagree with that. In 2021, my colleagues here and I broke quorum to stop a voter suppression bill. And by breaking quorum and shining a spotlight, a national spotlight, on that voter suppression effort, it pressured the Republicans in Texas to take out the worst parts of that bill. The ban on souls to the polls, Sunday morning voting, which African-American churches use in Texas to get their people to the polls. A provision that would have allowed Republicans to overturn election results that they didn't like. All of that was taken out because we broke quorum. So this is an effective tool in our toolbox to fight for our constituents and make harmful legislation less dangerous. We're hopeful that's what will happen here.
So then is the end goal, if not to completely redraw the map, to redraw it in a less Republican way?
I think our goal is to pressure blue states who have a Democratic trifecta to threaten retaliation and maybe even move forward with that retaliation. Because if one side is going to cheat, all bets are off. And maybe that kind of pressure will convince our Republican colleagues and the president to walk back from the brink, because none of us want gerrymandered states. Gerrymandering is wrong whether Democrats do it or Republicans do it. Every state should have an independent, citizen-led redistricting commission so that voters are choosing their politicians, politicians aren't choosing their voters.
But not until
100%.
Finally, some people
100%.
doing something. Like,
Well, that was such
I've-
a great interview. I recommend watching the entire thing.
I've said,
State
I think-
rep. Notice that they're not national; they're state.
I know. Well, the national people need to take some notes or something, because I said it once before. I don't remember where, but I think the states are what's going to save us.
They're
Because
going to get a Rosetta Stone so everybody can learn the language.
And that's what the experts on fascism have said is different about our country with others, is that we do have the states, and it will be
Yes.
the states potentially that turn us around.
Because if something like this is causing such a thing in Texas, and Texas is technically a red state, but that I'm sure is just adding some more fuel to the fire of like California, New York. Like, you see them how they're stepping up for the other states and helping. So that's what I think is really going to help us in the end.
Well, one thing about Texas, especially in Houston, they only had one ballot box for 5 million people. So what they put in place, what Abbott put in place, was every county would have one box, just one ballot box. And we have 5 million people in the county of Houston or Harris County.
That's not gonna work, man.
It didn't work. It didn't work. And then he stopped where handicapped people could drive by and someone would come out to your car. He restricted a lot of that also. So he's been trying to help Donald Trump for a long time.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting how he said that this worked before when they were trying to get those horrendous things out of the bill, like being able to just overturn the elections and pick whoever they want.
That's what they want.
And how did he miss the point of the fact that what they're doing is drawing attention to this problem? They're like, if they hadn't done
They
this,
say,
it would not
yeah.
be a national story. He
And
Not
completely
the brightest
fought for
bunch.
that.
And that's what I said before. They're not the brightest. I don't know what they're thinking, because Texas is a large state and it's the third largest state, and everybody pays attention to what's happening here. A lot of things that are happening too is a lot of Republicans are coming here so they can keep this state like it is.
I think oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry. I don't even know what I was gonna say.
Don't feel bad.
Well, let's go ahead and listen to so we had some go to, they were in Illinois, right? New York, Boston, I believe. And I haven't verified if any have come to California, but I know Newsom is standing with them.
Well,
Yeah.
they have put the FBI on it, which is not a federal case; it's a state case. And but the FBI is looking for all of them now, but they can't do anything.
They're not supposed to.
That's right.
Yeah, they're not supposed to. All right, let's listen to our governor here.
What it means to fight for the preservation of our constitutional republic. Donald Trump, Governor Abbott, Texas Republicans, well, they know that they're headed toward a loss of the Congress in 2026. They're afraid, and they should be. Because when you try to tear health care away from veterans and seniors, from children and people with disabilities, when you raise tariff taxes on groceries and beer and automobiles, when you let poor and working class families go hungry, when you allow smokestack industries to pollute the air and remove safety standards from food producers, well, all so that you can give a massive tax break to Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Ackman, well, frankly, you'd better watch out. Yeah. You're going to lose your elections. So they've decided that the only way to save themselves is to cheat, to change the rules in the middle of the game. And what do MAGA Republicans in Texas do when Donald Trump ignores, well, his oath of office and theirs, and when they're taking it upon themselves to thwart the will of the American people? Well, they say, when Donald Trump calls, they say, yes, sir. Right away, sir. Happy to lick your boot, sir. When Donald Trump says jump, Greg Abbott and Ken Paxton say, how high? They don't care that they're violating the Voting Rights Act and racially gerrymandering their state. Well, they're hoping they can rob the bank and get away before anyone notices. Texas Republicans are trying to diminish the voting power of their own constituents, and in doing so, diminish the rights of Illinoisans and all Americans. Texas House Democrats are putting their lives on hold and their livelihoods at risk because they don't want to live in a country where the president rigs elections for his side. That's not democracy. That's not America. To be in public office right now is to constantly ask yourself, how do I make sure that we're standing on the right side of history? Well, there's a simple answer. The wrong side of history will always tell you to be afraid. And the right side of history will always expect you to be courageous. Texas House Democrats are leading the way in choosing courage and country over politics and party. That's what it means to fight for what's right.
Yep. Love him.
Amen to
Another
that.
great interview. To watch the rest of it or his speech. Yeah. I mean, that's it. They're afraid. This is not a Texas thing. This is an American thing.
Trump said this morning, sorry.
Go ahead.
Trump said this morning, he was like, I don't know what they run into Illinois for. It's all gerrymandered up anyway, and start laughing. I thought, what does that have to do with anything? He's so goofy. He misses the point. I'm like, and like you said, he's bringing attention to it. So we're paying attention in Illinois and every place else too.
Well, he did it so that we could stop paying attention to the Maxwell story. You know, Epstein, you know, and he know we get all these pictures with him and these young women, and it's a shame. And
let's watch another clip. So we've got a few, but this is really inspiring.
Respectfully, he's making up some shit. Okay? He's trying to get sound bites, and he has no legal mechanism. And if he did, subpoenas from Texas don't work in New York. So he gonna come get us how? Subpoenas in Texas don't work in Chicago. He's gonna come get us how? So let me be clear. He's putting up smoke and mirrors. And I'm hopeful that the media doesn't follow that. I will also say this. I was on the redistricting committee. I sat in on the meetings. We had 3 sham hearings with no maps, where people were forced to testify that they were neutral on the maps because of our processes, when actually, I would say about 99.9% of the people were against it. So they set it up. So when the litigation happens, because it's going to happen, trust and believe, right? That there will be testimony saying that everybody was neutral on it. which is, excuse my French, a damn lie. Then, when they got the map on Wednesday, and let me be clear, it was the worst kept secret in Texas. I was on the redistricting committee, and I was wondering in January, why I'm on the redistricting committee? I mean, it ain't a redistricting year. And we didn't meet once, right? But this was always the backup plan. Always. I sat in on the hearings. It was a joke. The chair of the redistricting committee, Cody Vasut, is a lawyer. In the legislature, he is the expert on points of order. He knows the law. Cody pays attention to detail. During the redistricting committee meetings, well, I hadn't looked at anything. I don't know. I ain't seen no maps. Yeah, whatever you say. So you peeing on me and you telling me it's raining and you expect me to believe it. Wrong answer. When they finally had the one public hearing with the map, and the secret was out. The stuff is gonna get filed on Wednesday, and we're gonna have a marathon hearing on Friday, is what they said. The plan was filed on Wednesday, and they had a 10-hour meeting on Friday. And the thing that was the most offensive to me as a person who went to these and asked questions about these, and let me be clear, the districts that are targeted overwhelmingly are Black districts, okay? They are pitting Jasmine Crockett against Mark Vesey, and they are pitting Al Green against CD18, where there's a Black representative. If you don't know who sat in CD18, I live in CD18, by the way. Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, Craig Washington, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Sylvester Turner. So those are the people they're trying to take out. So I'm real upset about it, and my constituents are real upset about it. But it's really interesting that the map person who says that some law firm drafted the maps and he don't know that much about the maps, I felt like I was in a bad edition of an episode of White Man's Burden. For the most part, he told us, grown people speaking to us as if we were kids, said to us, you need to be happy. We didn't have to give you any hearings in the first place, and we know what's best for you. Well, I respectfully submit that they don't know what's best for us. They do not know what's best for us. And let me also be clear. My constituents demanded that I be here. So you think I'm gonna listen to Donald Trump and Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick and the Attorney General who can't treat his wife right and who lies on documentation? So I think he needs to worry about going to jail. But my point is this: we, the Democratic contingent, we are paying attention to what our constituents are demanding of us. They've literally told us, if you don't quorum break, we will primary you. That's how important it is. People wonder, why should New York be concerned about what's going on in Texas? Why should anywhere be concerned with what's going on in Texas? I'm gonna tell you why. My grandmother says this: if you allow yourself to be a rug, people will step on you. No one was paying attention to North Carolina in 2024. There were 7 Republican Congresspeople. There were 7 Democratic Congresspeople. Guess what? The Republicans rigged the game in North Carolina, and they took 3 seats. I'm gonna say this one more again. That's Ebonics for those of y'all who don't speak it. They took 3 seats. Congress has a 3 Republican majority. Ding, 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 ding. So we weren't paying attention to what was going on in North Carolina. And look what we have. We got that big, ugly, terrible bill shoved down our throats. So guess what? I was paying attention. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Brilliant. Where's
If I
my?
may translate a little bit. She said, "Do not blame me for the dumb, and miss me with it."
I love it. I love it. The fight.
I love that she said one more
Yolanda.
again. Let me tell you one more again.
Okay, one more again. Where's it at? Yolanda, isn't that her name?
Yolanda Jones.
JJ from Wakanda. No, I'm just kidding. She was getting
100%, John. They would never win another election if it were fair.
Yeah. This gerrymandering, we just keep doing the same old faulty things. And I'm from a school of, and that's how I able to triumph in my life a little bit more, because if somebody said, Nitra, if you're going in a trajectory and it's jacked up, put a spin on it like a ball, put a spin on that bad boy and change it and see what happens. And they keep doing the same thing, expecting a different response, and it's not going to happen. But I know we've got to go on because we're a different society than we were. Things have got to change.
100%.
And yes, I'm woke. Like they say, I'm woke.